Hello everyone, welcome to the new session of Principles of Training and Pruning Part 2. So in this session, we are going to study about what is pruning. So there will be a principles of pruning also, right? So we are going to have an introduction on pruning, principles of pruning, and also we are going to study about the different objectives of pruning, why we are doing this pruning process, and there will be different methods of pruning as well. So all these topic we are going to cover up in this particular session. So let us understand what is pruning. Pruning is the removal of unwanted excess annual growth, dead, dry, and diseased wood from the plants. So sometimes there are having an excess of branching, right? And when there is an excess of branching, then no branch will develop in a proper way. So we have to cut some of the branches so that the proper sunlight that can reach to the inner of the plant, inner side of the plant. There will be proper growth then only, right? And there are sometimes the branches become dead. So the removal of that dead part is pruning. Removing of the drying leaves is also pruning. And sometimes there are diseased wood or a disease, the plants of the leaves of the plants are having diseased, right? With certain attack of bacteria, fungi, or any pest, right? So that we have to remove, and this also comes under the process of pruning. It refers to the removal of plant parts such as bud, branch, root, etc. to strike a balance between the vegetative growth and production. So sometimes we have to remove the branching, root and bud so that the plant could have a proper vegetative growth and it can increase the production of the plant. So this pruning is very important. This can also be done to adjust the fruit load on the tree. If the branching is not in a proper way, then there will be a fruit load on the tree, and in that case, the fruit tree can get damaged. So if the branching at a proper place, then there will be the fruit load in a proper way, and there will be an adjustment of the load on the tree in such a way that the tree will not get any type of damage. So this is important to have a proper fruit load. Now, what are the objectives? To control the size and shape of the plant. First thing, that with the help of pruning, we are controlling the size and shape of the plant, because if there will be a lot of branching, then the plant will not have a proper growth. So what we do, we remove some of the branch. So we are giving a proper shape, we are giving a proper size to the plant, right? If you cut the plant from the above, the main stem is cut above, then the size of the plant will cease at that height, right? So size of the tree is maintained. Even when you cut the different branches, then you are giving a proper shape to the plant. So all these size and shape is maintained by the process of pruning. Other objective, in order to make transplanting successful, pruning of leaves, twigs is done to create a balance between the roots and shoot and less water loss to the plant as compared to the limited root system lost during lifting. So if the root system is not very developed and the shoot is very developed, right, it is having a lot of leaves, then there will be less absorption of water and more of evaporation. So there can be a stress on the plant, water stress, right? So this balance should be there, the proper growth of the root and the proper growth of the shoot, right? So this is also done. The twigs and the leaves can be removed so that the evaporation can be in a balanced form. Improving productivity and the quality by the regulating the crop load and flowering. So we are having flower, then flower are get pollinated, then there will be a setup of fruit, right? So the productivity and the quality by regulating the crop load and flowering. So we can cut some of the flowers so that the plant can have a proper load. Removal of non-productive vegetative growth such as water sprout, suckers, dead and diseased wood. So sometimes we have to remove those part of the tree that are having diseased part, dead part, that we can remove, right? So those are the non-productive vegetative growth, right? If the plant is one of the branching is having a disease, right? So that branch is of no use. In fact, that can spread the disease to the other healthy branches also. So that diseased wood or the diseased branch should be removed. So this is called non-productive vegetative, removal of the non-productive vegetative growth part. Knotless timber production in the forest trees and thinning the branches so that more light can enter the interior of the tree so that the inner branches also become fruitful. Otherwise, the fruit will develop only to the outer branches because the sunlight is not getting proper, right? The flower which blooms will not get proper sunlight. There will not be insects in the inner side for the pollination. So proper training, proper thinning of the branches is very, very important, right? When the branches get thin, so the light can enter inside of the tree also. The flies can enter inside of the tree also, and they can help in the process of pollination. Facilitating the shape of the top of the tree to make spraying easier and more cost effective. We can give a proper shape to the top of the tree, right? So that the spraying of the different fungicide or the pesticide will become easy. To regulate the spacing and the distribution, that is the direction of branches, that is also the objective of this pruning. To prevent the spread of disease, yes, the spread of the disease can be seized by the process of pruning. Suppose some of the leaves are got diseased with the fungus, so you can cut those leaves, you remove that leaves, you can burn that leaves so that all the spores that of the fungus that are present on the leaves do not infect to the other plants, right? In this way, you can check the growth of the fungi or any bacteria that causes disease to the plant. So it prevents the spread of disease. Pruning helps in preventing the spread of disease. Now, what are the principles of pruning? Remove the water sprouts. To completely remove a shoot, it must be cut from the base. So if you want to remove the shoot, then you have to cut it from the basal region. Avoid injury to the bark when pruning. So when you are doing pruning, do not give any type of injury. Your motto is just to cut the branch, right? But the cutting of the branching should not be in that way that you are harming the bark of the tree. Always, the branches of a greater diameter should be cut from the surface below. It should not be cut from the at a distance. Cut from the surface below. Pruning should be done well before the flowering season. This is very, very important. In deciduous plant, pruning should be done before winter reduce the damage caused by the low temperature. So in the deciduous plant, there is a low temperature. So the pruning should be done before that, so that there should be less damage to the plant. To avoid diseases, apply body paste after the pruning. So there can be disease because when you cut some of the branches, the tissues of the tree are exposed, right? So what to do? In that case, you can apply the body mixture paste to that part and it will avoid the diseases to occur. Overcrowded, diseased, damaged and insect infested twigs should be removed. So when the branching of the tree become overcrowded, or if the branch is having the disease or the leaves are diseased, damaged and insect infested twigs, that should also be removed. Plants response to pruning. This is the heading. Plant response to pruning. How the plant responds after the pruning. Plant response to pruning must be well understood in order to successfully achieve the purpose of pruning, right? So it is very, very important how the plants responds to pruning. Flowering are some important responses that plants show to pruning. So when pruning is done, the plants show flowering. First, they activate the buds. When you uh, have a pruning process, then there is an activation of bud on the tree or the plants. So when a branch is cut, the buds below the cut of the branch become very active. So the bud near the cut is most vigorous, and this power decreases in the bud as the distance from the cut increases. So the bud which is present just near to the cut will grow more vigorously. The one which is not cut and it is also present, but their growth will be slow as compared to the bud that is near to the cut part. This is due to the elimination of the apical dominance of the terminal bud. So the terminal bud, when you remove that, that shows the apical dominance. So when the apical dominance part is removed, then there will be, what will happen? It triggers the development of the lateral buds. This is very, very important. Dwarfing response. The immediate effect of the pruning is undoubtedly the invigoration of a new branches due to the diversion of the food. But due to the removal of too many leaves, there is a reduction in the food formation, resulting in stunted root growth, which is responsible for the growth of the new branches. So diversion of the food is very, very important. When you cut some of the branches and there at the cut point there is a presence of bud, then the food of the branch will move toward that side because it need more growth, right? So there is a diversion of food, but due to the removal of but you do not have to remove too many leaves, because the leaves are the ultimate factory that make food. And if you cut too many leaves, then there will be the reduction in the food formation, and again then there will be stunted root growth, which is responsible for the slow growth of the new branches, right? So if the proper root growth will be there, then only there will be the proper growth of the branches in the shoot. So that are very, very important. Limit further development. When the growth of the new branches is reduced, their length also decreases. Therefore, the net effect of pruning a tree is dwarfed, proportional to the severity of the pruning. Along with the expansion of the top, the spread of the root system is reduced. So when the expansion of the top is more, the spread of the root system is get reduced. So this also causes dwarfism in the plant. Production of water shoots. Intensive pruning often activates dormant buds or adventitious buds, and many stimulate buds to develop on the older branches. So the production of water shoots. So intensive pruning often activate the dormant buds, right? So this is very, very important. So sometimes there are the dormant buds or the adventitious buds, they become active when you have an intensive pruning. So they often produce branches that grow vertically and very vigorously with long internodes. The angular system with large succulent leaves and thorns, as in case of citrus, are called water shoots or the water suckers or bull canes. Delay in bearing. When the intensive severe pruning is done, especially in the early years of the fruit plant, fruiting is delayed. So when you do a severe pruning process in the fruit plant in the early years, what will be the effect? the fruiting will be delayed in those plants. Sometimes intensive pruning can also lead to the poor yield as it destroys the great number of foliage and fruiting branches. So the pruning should be in a balance. It should not be in a so intensive that all the leaves that you have removed and there will be no foliage to make the food. So it destroys the great number of foliage and fruiting branches also. So there will be no flower and no fruit even. Methods of pruning. So there are different methods of pruning. Thinning out. When a shoot is completely removed from the base, from the original location, so that no new shoots grow from the spot. It is called thinning out, right? So when the shoot is completely removed from the base, when you are removing it from the base, then you are making that no shoot should grow from here, right? So that no shoot grow from that particular spot, and this is called thinning out. This thinning is used to remove twigs, water sprouts, etc. growing at unwanted places. Selective and complete removal of parts of the plant is termed as thinning. Second is trimming. Trimming is the growth of twigs to a predetermined level as it is done for fences, hedges and edges. So trimming, we are not totally removing the branches, but just we are removing some growth of the twigs, right? So this is done in the fences, hedges and edges to give a proper shape. Heading back. When the branches grow long and vigorously without producing flowers, they are heading back. So when a branch is cut almost to the base, leaving a few inches, it is called as heading back. We are not removing at the base, but we are removing, leaving a few inches. So this is called heading back. The remaining bud on the stem will give rise to a shoot that are important to the tree. So these will either be the fruiting branches or the flower buds to the fill gaps in the tree to form the vegetative branches that can produce flowers of the following year. So when we leaves branching of cutting the branch, leaving 3 to 4 inches, then a new bud can arise from the axil of that, and that can give the fruiting branches. The shoot of the bud closer to the cut replaces the cut shoot. Next method is the pollarding. Pollarding is the cutting back of twigs indiscriminately, reducing the height of the tree. So the pollarding is done to reduce the height of the tree because it is cutting back of twigs indiscriminately. Girdling or the ringing. In this process, a circular ringing shaped bark of about 3 centimeter in length is removed. So we are removing the bark like this. Whole bark has been removed from here. So why we do this girdling, which accelerate the flowering and fruiting by increasing the accumulation of stored food from the photosynthesis in the upper part of the plant. So this particular plant, upper part, what will do? It will accumulate lot of food here only, and it will give rise the flowering and also the fruit. Next is the nicking. Removing a wedge-shaped piece of bark and making a notch at the bottom of the bud is called nicking. So this ensures the accumulation of carbohydrates from the leaves to the bud and can result in the fruit bud formation. So this is all about the pruning. We have discussed about the training and the pruning process. So training is done to give a proper shape and size, whereas the pruning is cutting off of the branches. Training is giving the proper way or proper direction to the growth of the tree. So we have discussed all things about the training and pruning in these two sessions. Thank you very much.